Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and it is kind of a sad video today because my Sony XM4 true wireless system here, it's been with me for like a couple of years. I've really just used the heck out of these things, but they are dying. So they're not holding a charge anymore, very, very minimal. So unfortunately, I'm going to retire these, and I thought rather than buying a new set of Sonys, I might as well try something new. So what I decided to do is try several Soundcore different true wireless systems. All of them have ANC, and we've got a cheaper model, which is the A3i. That's about 40 bucks. We've got kind of the stem style P3 Life P3, and those are about $70-$80, and then the Space A40s here, which are about $80 to $90, kind of depending. And so we've got kind of like low tier, mid tier, higher tier for Soundcore stuff. Now I know they have tons of different other models and things like that. These were just three that I thought, I don't know, maybe I'd be interested in. I actually bought the A3i and the P3 first, and then somebody actually recommended the A40, so I went ahead and picked that one up too, and I'm glad I did because that one ended up being my favorite. But before we get too into detail on the A40, let's just kind of take a quick look at each different system here, and then we'll get into pros, cons, sound, all that good stuff. Okay, so they all come in very similar packaging. I don't think we need to really dive into the boxes and packaging. You know, they come with extra tips of different sizes and things like that. You know, cable, USB-C cable and all that stuff. One of the reasons why I wanted to try the P3 and the A40 is because they have wireless charging, and I do use that a lot because I've got like a little stand thing that does my watch and my phone and earbuds, and so I like that feature, even though it's not required. But I thought I'd like it anyway. So the A3i is the one we'll look at first. It's kind of like probably the closest to the Sony in size, both in case and of wireless IMs. I'll just get the Sonys out here for comparison purposes here, and they're actually probably like the chunkiest of the bud style systems here. And then here's the A3i's next to them. So you can see A3i's, they don't feel quite as robust. They feel pretty plasticky, pretty cheap, but they are really lightweight, and you know, when you stick them in your ear, they tuck in there pretty nice, okay? The one thing that's a little bit different on these, again, these guys don't have wireless charging, just USB-C on the bottom there, and they don't have like capacitive touch. Instead, they've got little buttons on each side of the earbuds. So there's like one button there, and you have to actually reach in and press that. It's okay. I don't love that system. I don't fiddle with them all that much regardless, except to like play pause and stuff like that. But it's okay. It's all right. It's not the best. So all in all, for 40 bucks, like, these are okay. I do think they sound better than the P3s actually, but I couldn't get them tuned to a way that I like them, because all of these things come with the Soundcore app, which is a pretty nice little app, and you can like EQ, and you can change buttons and all that stuff, and it works with all of these, so you can change different things around on the systems to meet your needs, which I really appreciate. Plus, you can equalize with all of them, and I do appreciate that there's EQ for all of them, but I tell you, they're still, I think the A3i and the P3 are so far off of like a reasonable frequency response that I just couldn't get them tuned to a setting that I enjoyed them in. Less so with the A3i, more so with the P3. So let's look at the P3 here. I'll go ahead and stick these. Well, I'll just leave it out actually. So the P3 is kind of like the AirPods ripoff style of you know, true wireless system here. So they've got the stems on them. They are comfortable, and I didn't think I'd like this style. But you know, they're okay when it comes down to it. Like, they're all right. They do have capacitive touch buttons on them. It's kind of where the Soundcore logo is right there. I didn't have a whole lot of luck like tapping those with any sort of accuracy, but they were comfortable. They're still lightweight, and they definitely have the most bass and probably the best defined bass, especially in the really low frequencies, than any of these. However, I really thought it was too much, and I couldn't EQ it down to a level that I thought was acceptable. So it was that far off. And then kind of like the A3i, I just found that I couldn't get the frequency response quite right. Both of them have ample amounts of bass, but then I feel like they come off a little tinny, a little... They just don't resolve very well, and the timbre doesn't ever quite come together in a way that I would like it. I would say though that the P3s here, they did have some really nice wide soundstage to them, and they were well separated, probably the best separated of any of them. But again, just the frequency response, I just couldn't get nailed down for something that I enjoyed. I do like the case. I like its the clamshell kind of style of the case here. Again, it's got wireless charging. They just sit in there like that. These are probably the easiest to pop in and out and things like that when I was using them. So I really don't have much for complaints in the way of ergonomics and things like that. With these guys, it's really just a sound thing, and that's too bad because I thought there was potential here, but I just couldn't get it dialed in. So that brings me to my winner here, which is the Space A40s. And these win on a lot of fronts. So number one, they have the most ergonomic case. So this is a nice tight little case here. You can slip it in even, a fifth pocket on your pants and things like that. I wish there was a little bit of texture on these guys. They're lightweight and they're fairly small. Almost to the point that they're hard to really get your hands on, honestly. So good and bad, right? I mean, they tuck in your ear really nice, no issues there. But again, I wish there was maybe some texture on them that would help me get a hold of them, because there's not a lot to grab if you look at grabbing them in the case there. But yeah, clamshell style case, which I like, and then it's just super skinny and thin that you can fit it in almost any pocket, and it's pretty unobtrusive anywhere. And that's really what these are to me, right? Because it's a purely convenience thing, and I'm just looking for good enough sound quality. And that's why I wanted to go with something a little bit cheaper. I like ANC, but I don't need the best in the world ANC, just as long as I have a little bit of something here. The ANC on any of these is not as good as the Sony's, but it's good enough, I would say, for most use cases. And these guys, again, just considering how small they are and being able just to really quickly tuck them in, I mean, it's just convenient. And so I like, and then comes the sound of these. Now these still are very bassy, consumer, kind of V-shaped sound with these. However, I was able to tame the bass to reasonable levels, and I think the resolution and timbre throughout the middle and upper frequencies is superior to the P3 and to the A3i's. So these win on sound quality. Although they're not as spacious and as well separated as the P3, they're just a more cohesive and a better sound, I think. Plus, I feel like they're a little more resolving, even if the bass isn't quite as clean as on the P3s. So for me, for $80, which is what I bought these for, because I think I bought them open box on Amazon, I feel like these sit at a really nice value spot in the market, and where they're half the price of things like AirPods and Sony's and Bose's and stuff like that, if even half, right? They might even be a third of the price of those things, especially if you start finding them used in open box. I found battery life to be, I never had any issues with it. I just haven't had any issues at all. They pair really, really quickly. It works one ear at a time or both. Never had any problems with that. I feel like these guys, again, they have a capacitive touch, and I've had good luck with that on these guys. So everything just works the way it should, and it does so coming in at only like 80-90 bucks. Oh, now the one thing that is up in the air still with these that I haven't tested yet, really, besides a few phone calls here and there where nobody really commented on it, is the sound quality of the microphones, which potentially could be a deal breaker for some people. I don't use them that much for calls, but you know, if you're that type of person, let's go ahead and do a test of that right now.
Okay, so this is the A3i's built-in microphones. Again, it's probably not that great if I was to guess, but this will give you an idea of what the quality is like.
Now I'm using the Life P3's microphones, which if I had to guess before actually listening to them, I would assume that these ones are probably the best just because they've got the stems on them, but who knows. All of these IEMs they tout for having like intelligent learning microphones and things like that. Sounds like marketing BS to me, but we'll see what the quality sounds like when I'm done with this. Okay, now we've got the Space A40s, which, fingers crossed, sound better than the other two since these are the ones that I want to keep anyway. Excuse me, but we'll see. Again, probably none of them are too fantastic, but at least now we know what they sound like, right? Okay, so I gave all the microphones a listen, and I do think the P3 is probably the best, so I'd say it's P3, A40, and then the A3i bringing up the rear, but they're all probably within the realm of doesn't really matter as far as I'm concerned. If you want good quality, you're going to be using your phone's microphone regardless, I think. Or a wired set of IEMs as a built-in microphone is probably going to be better than all these. So just keep that in mind when you're browsing for true wireless systems like this. Now, again, what I wanted to say is if you're going for pure sound quality and you don't mind dealing with some cables and things like that, you can easily find a set of IEMs that's going to top these in technical ability. So a couple of my favorite ones right now for $20 IEMs or sub $20 IEMs are the Saltone Zeros. I love those. I already reviewed those. And then I've also got, on recommendation, the Tangzu Wanger. And that one is actually really good too, especially if you want a bassier sound. That one would be the one that I would recommend. But I like them both. I haven't really picked out which one I like the best, but they're probably both worth getting. But I digress. But then you're dealing with, you know, a cable, and maybe you're dealing with something like an X-Can here, which I like to listen to IEMs on. So it's not as convenient, right? And for me, they're different use cases. Like there are times where I'm mainly just sitting at my desk working where I'll use this and I'll use IEMs. Like if I'm working at school, you know, grading papers and whatnot. But then, like I want these guys for in the car. I like to have these, and then just to have in my pocket, like wherever I go, just in case I need to, you know, listen to something or I want to watch a video or a podcast or any of that stuff. Like that's where these guys come in. So again, just a pure convenience thing. And I feel like, you know, if you haven't tried a true wireless system, I would certainly encourage you to do so. Yes, you may be sacrificing some sound quality, but boy, the convenience is really hard to beat with something like this Space A40 here. So thanks to the viewer that recommended these to me. Again, these are the ones that I'm going to keep. I'm kind of blown away by how good they are for 80 bucks, right? And they come in a few different fun colors too. So I'll link to that. And I'll link to these other models too, just so you can click on them and take a look if you want. But again, the A40 is the one that I would recommend that you take a look at. Okay, well, I think that's probably going to wrap this one up. And you know, if you found this useful, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I bought all these with my own money, so this isn't sponsored and nobody sent me any of this stuff. So that's all just kind of out of my pocket for the time being to do some of these tests. So certainly any way you could show some support for the channel, whether it's just liking, subscribing, or maybe using the affiliate links below to purchase, that would be very much appreciated. If you want more headphone content, more IEM content, you know, more of that'll be coming here on a regular basis. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.